Hello friends, good morning. As I was telling, we have come to the second session, which is actually the first part of the content. Okay, now what is learning disability? We'll see that. Learning disability is an intellectual or a cognitive disability. Okay, and it is actually an invisible damage. Okay, the damage is, it's not seen outside, it's not visibly seen among the children, and it affects only the academic performance, that is listening, reading, writing, speaking, logical reasoning. So these are the only areas that are affected by this condition called as learning disability. So for small children, when they have some problem in listening or reading, generally people don't think that it is because of learning disability, because maybe it is because of their laziness, or they don't want to study and it is their childish attitude. That's what every time it is misunderstood. But sometimes this could be, that is why it is said an invisible damage. And because it is not visibly seen, the children are not helped at the appropriate time by the parents as well as by the teachers. And that misunderstanding takes place, that they are purposefully avoiding studies or all those things, because they are smart in other areas. Only when it is pertaining to their academic performance, that is related to learning, they have problem. So the parents, they generally say that, see, the child is really intelligent, very smart. So therefore this misunderstanding takes place all the time, as a result of which that it also affects their behavior. Because the child is actually trying to do better, but it's not able to do it. So therefore it affects the kind of the behavior. Maybe the child may become very aggressive or very passive or things like that, and it affects their self-esteem quite a lot. And most important, it affects the social interaction of the children. Because the children are always cornered, they're always asked to do better and everything, and they are always segregated from the other children, that they are poor performers, and therefore their social interaction comes down, because their self-esteem also comes down. So this is all that we have to initially just know about what is this condition. So it is an intellectual or a cognitive disability which is very invisible, and therefore a lot of misunderstanding takes place. Right. Now, in India, it has been estimated that 10% of the children, they have learning disability. Okay, so in a class of 40, generally, every class will have a strength of 40. If it is a class of 40, there will be 4 children who have a problem of learning disability, but who are actually ignored or neglected because of the ignorance of the teachers and the parents. Right. And these 4 children of each and every class, they are coming up. Every class they come out, and without being helped with their condition. If only they are helped at the right time by proper identification, assessment and intervention, they will be able to oversmart the other kids also. But unfortunately, this is not happening because of the very poor awareness level of learning disability in India especially. Okay, so we really first of all need to know what is this condition. Okay, now first of all, we have to know what is learning disability. We have to know what is learning, what are the different processes that takes place in learning as such. Okay, now learning takes place in three levels. Okay, input, integration and output. Okay, in between, memory also plays a very important role. So input, integration and output. So what is input? The information is going to the brain. So every child learns through the 5 senses. Everybody learns like that. So the information first goes to the brain. That is input. And integration is the information that has come there is made meaningful. The child is able to integrate, okay, and understand the meaning. So it becomes a more meaningful information. That is called integration. And the third level is output. So once the person has understood, the child has understood everything, the child reproduces it, either by speaking, telling, writing, whatever it is. So this is the overall process of learning. In each of these areas, there can be problems which becomes a difficulty for the children with LD. Okay. Now, disabilities vary according to sometimes children will have problem in input, sometimes they may have problem in integration, sometimes they have problem in output, or some kids have problem in all 3. Okay. Now let's analyze about each and every part. Where do they have problem and what are the symptoms that we can see that. Now first, input disability. Okay, in input disability, visual and auditory are there. Suppose some kids have problem in seeing, they have a problem with their vision. So which means input disability is there. That is visual disability, or a visual input has a problem. So that could be rectified. Then some children, they are not able to hear properly, which means that it is only pertaining to the sense organ, right? So auditory input has a problem. So therefore the input is having a difficulty. Okay, some kids can have both. They may have problem in vision as well as in hearing also. This is one part of it. Now suppose they don't have problem in vision or hearing, but they have problem in perception, visual perception and auditory perception. That is, even if they have seen, for example, I'll tell you, suppose the children have problem in visual perception. I'll tell you, they'll have problem in identifying the shape. Okay, they may confuse between B and D. That is because it's not because they're not able to see B and D, they're able to see, but they have problem in perception, and therefore the input has there is a problem in the input. They confuse between B and D or P and 9, like that. Okay, so this is considered normal till the age of 6, but after that also, if the children are showing this symptom, then we can understand that the child perhaps may have a problem in input, especially with visual perception. Okay, another one is related to input in the perception is that visual figure ground. Again, I'll give you an example. That is, they may the teachers might write on the board, and they may be skipping the lines, or they may be reading the same line again, because they are not able to differentiate between the figure and the ground. They look at everything as the same. So therefore, if they are not able to focus on the line which they are reading, therefore they may read the same line again, or they may skip the lines. So these are some of the symptoms, and if they have, we can understand that maybe they have a problem in visual figure ground perception, figure ground problem. Okay, and such children will also have problem in if we ask them to take the salt from the dining table, where the dining table has got many things, and they may have difficulty to focus where the salt is kept in the dining table among all the other items, and to take it and come. So which means because they look at everything as a whole. So this is an example of figure ground. Again, some children, they have problem in catching the ball. Okay, because when they are catching the ball, they are not able to focus on the ball. They look at the sky, they look at everything as a whole. So therefore this kind of symptoms, when we find out from the children, we can understand that maybe the children has a disability. The problem is here. That is the reason why the input is not going properly. Okay, now in input itself, as I said, we saw visual perception, visual figure ground, and in input itself we can find auditory perception and auditory figure ground. I'll give you examples for that. Auditory perception. Now the children will be able to differentiate similar sound, because auditory perception is auditory discrimination, and they might suppose there is blue and blow. I mean, for them they might hear it as very similar. It's not because they have problem in hearing, because they have problem in auditory perception. Okay, or ball and bell. So they'll be hearing ball, but they'll be understanding it as bell. Okay, so this is called auditory perception problem. Now, auditory figure ground. Auditory figure ground is again the same thing. They cannot focus on one particular sound. They'll be hearing multiple sounds, and they'll be considering all together. They are not able to focus on one particular sound. Okay, which means they are not able to observe, concentrate, listen properly. When the teachers are taking class, they are not able to focus on the teacher and focus on what she is telling. Rather, for them, there will be multiple sounds that they are hearing. So such children are really branded as highly distractive. They don't have concentration, and very inattentive, stupid, lazy, and everything. They are branded so. It happens in every school. The problem is that maybe we are not able to look at each child in a very unique manner. Maybe the child has so it is basically how do we observe the kids, and we have to find out, oh, this is where the child is often doing the mistake. So maybe the child has a problem in input. In input, it could be visual perception or auditory perception, or visual figure ground or auditory figure ground. So this identification, this thing has to be done by the teachers and the parents. Now with this, we just completed input disability. Where does the disability take place in input, and how do the child suffer because of that? Now the second part of the learning process, which I said, is integration. Okay, now in integration that is, as I said, once they have got the input, how they are giving meaning to that. Okay, so that is called integration. In integration there are three levels. One is sequencing, another one is extracting, and then it is organizing. Sequencing, extracting, and organizing. Some children may have problem in one, or they may have problem in all. Right. Now, example of sequencing. Now, you ask the name of months. 12 months are there. Come on, tell the names of the months. They will tell very beautifully. They will tell. Okay, but suppose you say, what comes after July? They'll be thinking. They'll have to start from the beginning. They cannot, that sequencing. They have problem in sequencing. They'll have to start from the beginning. Many times we all have this problem. Maybe ABCD itself, right? ABCD itself, we know, suppose what comes after L, we have to start from the beginning. So in a way we can find that this kind of a disability in integration or input or output in smaller levels, each of us are having. But if it is on a higher level, it affects their academic performance and it affects their overall personality itself. That is where we really have to give a helping hand. In fact, that is what they say. They say that we are all disabled in one way or the other. Right. Okay, and sometimes next is such children who have problem in sequencing we can also find out that suppose we ask them they have a problem in dressing. Okay, they'll have to first wear the undershirt and then only the shirt. What they do is that they first wear the shirt and then they take the undershirt. They do not know what comes first. So we can see that when such symptoms are seen among our kids, instead of just shouting at them and then telling what nonsense you are, we have to literally observe and see if this process is being repeated, and then we can find out, okay, maybe the child has a problem in sequencing, in integration, and then how can I help the kid? So that's how we have to, our perception, our outlook has to change. Right. And the next part is extraction. Extraction is difficulty in understanding the meaning. Okay, suppose they cannot understand the jokes or sarcasm. If suppose a child has not done properly, and we say that best, very good, you have done very well, and the way we are telling, others can understand. That is the abstract talk and all, they can understand. But the children with learning disability, they only look at the words, they only look at the literal meaning, and they think that this is what it is. So they cannot understand jokes very easily or the sarcastic comments very easily. Again, we should not immediately think the child is not sharp enough or they are not intelligent enough. Maybe they have a small problem in extraction alone, which has to be helped, that's all. Right. And the next part is organizing. That is an integration, I said, sequencing, extracting, and organizing. Organizing means we can actually just look at their notebooks, just have a look at their notebooks, their shelves, their study tables. It will be completely messy because they don't have they have a problem in organizing things. Again, I would say that many of us are having this kind of a problem. Some could be because they are not trained properly, and some could be because they have this disability as such. But whatever it is, for all these kind of people, proper disciplining and proper parenting and teaching will definitely help them to organize things, and they will be able to learn and see if things are very messy, they'll get very frustrated to search things out, and that itself will take their energy. So it will be really good if we can help them, whether they have the disability or not. Helping children in organizing is always really good. And such children they cannot plan time effectively. Okay, they cannot plan, organize, what am I going to do after this? How much should I do that? That kind of a planning, it will take a lot of time. They'll find it very difficult compared to the other kids who don't have this problem in organizing. Okay, so that is about integration. Right? And then another important factor is memory. In the learning process, memory is very important, as I said. And that most of the kids have problem in memory. It can be a short-term memory or it can be a long-term memory, they have problem. Or it can be a visual memory or an auditory memory. So, visual memory is a lot of things are kept and they are not able to recollect. How much are they able to recollect? And all those things will give us an idea what level of visual memory they are in. At the same time, auditory memory also. So first of all, we need to understand, okay, my child has got a problem in this. Now I need to help him out from that problem. So that's it. Okay, I am giving you an idea about the whole concept of learning and the disability that comes along with that, so that we'll have a better understanding before we get into the intervention strategy. Okay, now if you say auditory memory, we can see they cannot take multiple instructions at a time. Suppose I say, now go to the kitchen, pull the drawer, take a spoon, close the drawer, and come back and take the glass and come. So something like that I say, or in any other way, like, open page number, take the English book and take the reader and take chapter 5 and page 6, whatever it is. They will not be able to take these multiple instructions, because for them they have problem in their memory. So they will be able to focus only one at a time. They will only take chapter 5 and they forgot about other things because they were not able. So this symptom we can find, and then we'll have to help them. Okay, now input disability we have seen, integration disability we have seen. Now we'll have to see, and also we saw about memory. Now the next thing is output disability. See, output is whatever you have got, you are putting it in, you are reproducing it. That is called output. It can be in two different types. The first type is through words, writing, drawing, and all those things, craft work, anything. We are showing whatever we have learned. Okay, whatever we have heard, whatever we have learned, whatever is being integrated and processed, I can write it in words, I can speak, I can, draw, or whatever it is. Some children, they take lot of time to think, to organize, and to speak, or to write, or to read, or anything, because they have lot of problem in output disability. See, they have understood things properly, input has gone properly, integration also has taken place properly, but it takes a lot of time for them to actually organize and recollect and put it in words. So that is one of the major problem that the children with learning disability they have, the output. So that is why the education department has come out with lot of helping hands to say that, okay, you need not, if you are not able to write, don't write, you just tell. So there are many ways that we can really help out a child, because as far as they have understood, then that's what matters, right? Okay, so that is the first type. And the second type is, maybe they have problem in motor output, which means under that we have fine motor and gross motor. Fine motor means they'll be finding it difficult to hold a pen or a pencil and to write. They may have lot input has gone, integration has taken place, and they are able to organize it, but they are not able to write it properly because of the fine motor problem. If that is what we have identified with that kid, then we'll have to help that kid accordingly. And some people, they have gross motor difficulties. Gross motor difficulties means they cannot carry bags or hold a big, they cannot run, difficulty in, big movements of using the hands and legs. Fine motor means difficulty in small movements using hands and legs. So if they have that difficulty, they'll have very poor handwriting. Most of the children with learning disability, we find their handwriting will be so bad. So it could be because of various problems that has taken place, or because of this output disability. So we really have to observe, analyze, and then exactly focus where the problem is. Now, because of all this difficulty and disability, the children are generally branded as, dull, purposefully not doing things and all. If they are allowed to go and play or whatever it is, they are very smart in communication and everything. They have good memory. But only when it comes to learning, they have a problem. So that is why they are again misunderstood. Okay. Now, because of all this, as I said, there can be an aggressive behavior of the children where they really throw things and temper tantrums and very aggressive behavior. That again will create a lot of problems at home. Or they can be very passive. They take in everything. They don't tell back anything, and they become a kind of a very dull, silent person. Many times teachers and parents think that is better, but that is really worse. So these are symptoms that we have to find out. Why my child is so aggressive? Why my child is so passive? Could be because the child has some difficulty or disability in the process. What is it? So this is what we have to do. Okay, so fine, that's it. So we have found out, we have understood and studied about the different difficulty or disability that a child can have in various levels: input, output, memory, and integration. Okay, so that's what I said. Now LD is the invisible damage. We really cannot pinpoint straight away that a child has got a damage, but the child may have a disability also. So, but if the children have very good parents who really are patient enough to understand and analyze and accept and take a willing hand to help the children without becoming panic, then the children can be really helped a lot. If only they are in good school, in the hands of good teachers who really take an extra effort to help them, then they can be saved. If not, it is very pathetic that these kids will be really, lost. Okay, so thank you, and in the next session we'll continue with the other part, the intervention part. Okay, thank you. God bless.